Hi, good afternoon. My name is Kyle Berezowski. I'm a Philadelphia-based flight attendant for American Airlines, and I wanted to make a little video to explain to potential incoming flight attendants or people that want to possibly look into the career as a flight attendant, to give you guys a little information about what my life has been as a flight attendant so far. I've been 3 years with the company. Um, so this is what I've been wanting to do for a long time. I did numerous other jobs before this. I was a barista at Starbucks, a manager for Sherwin-Williams. I was a guest service representative at Brookfield Zoo in admissions, and I was also a camp counselor as my first job. But it just so happens that I came upon this job after I was in my management job, and it just wasn't fitting into my life. I wasn't feeling very happy going to work. So I decided to look into the career as a flight attendant. And this job has been one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I was born and raised in Chicago. I came to Philadelphia 3 years ago for this job. I've been here 3 years, and how phenomenal to say that, I moved to Philadelphia, left all my friends and family that I knew in Chicago, picked up this job as a flight attendant where I'm gone most of the month. I'm rarely even in my apartment here in Philadelphia. And it's a career that once you get into it, you either love it or you hate it, based on the fact that you don't have a set schedule. And you sit reserve for the first couple years. It really depends on the airline. I was hired by U.S. Airways, which was a straight reserve system, which when you get hired, you go through a training process, which at U.S. Airways was five weeks, 5.5 weeks. Excuse me. Excuse me. So you go through 5.5 weeks of training in the airline's headquarters where they have their training department, which was for U.S. Airways, was in Phoenix when I got hired. You go over emergency drills, evacuations, medical, go over a little bit of service standards, international service. You go over all the different aircraft, learn all the different emergency equipment on those aircraft, learn about different terms that the pilots use as well, because we have to know kind of the lingo that the pilots use. Um, Learn kind of crew resource management, how to kind of go off of each other in case of an emergency or in case of a medical, that you can rely on the other crew members on the aircraft. Um, and kind of just how to present a good image of the airline. So yeah, that's 5.5 weeks of training. Then after that, you get placed in your domicile or your base, which was for U.S. Airways was 4 bases: Charlotte, Philadelphia, Washington D.C., or Phoenix. I chose Philadelphia. I wanted the international flying. I was only an hour and a half from Chicago, so I could easily go home to see my family. And Philadelphia is just a big city. It's only 2 hours from New York City if I want to get away. It's a short plane ride to Washington, D.C. It's a short plane ride to Boston. It's the Northeast, so I wanted a new vibe. So since I've been in Philadelphia, I've really been happy here. It's a great base. I met some amazing people here. So let me tell you a little bit about the reserve. So as I said, it was a straight reserve system, which means you do not get to hold a schedule until your seniority is able to hold one. So I don't have, there isn't enough trips available to me based on the number of trips that the airline wants in Philadelphia. Once my seniority is high enough to where the last trip that the company provides to Philadelphia is at my seniority, then I'll be able to hold the line. But until then, you sit reserve, which when I was first hired was a straight reserve, which means every month was reserve. You do not have a schedule. You're on call with the company, so you have to be available, and you always have to have your phone ready. It was a 24-hour rolling reserve, so if I started on Monday and I ended on Friday, from Monday to Friday, 24 hours a day, I was available to the company if they wanted me to cover for a trip. Um, Now, the reserve system is a wrap system, so there's a specific reserve availability period that you get that you have to be available to the company. So, for instance, there's 3 different ones at American Airlines now, because now I'm American Airlines. U.S. Airways bought American Airlines or merged with American Airlines. So, Wrap A is 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. Wrap B is 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wrap C is 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. And on that reserve availability period, you have to be available to the company for whatever trips they need you to do, or OPR, which is on-premises reserve, which is where you sit at the airport, potentially waiting to see if the company needs any planes to be boarded, waiting for the line holder flight attendants to come in, or if you just need to sit there and cover for a trip if the flight attendant can't make it in, because a lot of flight attendants commute to their domicile or base, which means they don't live there. They have to take another flight to get to where they live. So this is very confusing for a lot of people, I'm sure. Benefits to being a flight attendant. It definitely makes you independent. I live by myself, but I work a lot of hours to be able to do that. But, you know, you leave your friends and family. If you don't already live in your domicile, you have to leave all your friends and family, start a new life in this new thing, this new airline job. You meet a whole new group of people in training that you can potentially hang out with for your whole career. They become your family. Basically, you're gone for holidays and weekends most often. So the other flight attendants you train with and the flight attendants in your domicile become your family. It's really funny. You can start a trip and not know anybody, and by the end of the trip, you guys are best friends and hanging out on the layover and just enjoying each other's company, and you know, you can bond for the rest of your life in a lot of times. Characteristics to be a flight attendant, to me, I think if I was a human resource manager for the company, what I would be looking for is someone who's has a flexible, is not does not need to be tied into a schedule, because on reserve you cannot have a schedule. You're on a on-call status. So you have to be flexible. You have to have a great personality. You have to be positive and optimistic, because a lot of times different things happen in the airline industry: delays, cancellations, maintenance issues on the aircraft, medical emergencies where you have to have a diversion. So you really have to have an optimistic attitude and be able to keep people in positive spirits in those instances. Preferably have a lot of customer service experience, because that's basically what the flight attendant job is, providing customer service. Being very well kept in your appearance, because you are the face of the airline, whatever airline you work for. Being very articulate, because we do all the PAs on the aircraft, so you have to be able to convey information to the passengers in a clear and concise way. I also think that you really have to be willing to put this job ahead of a lot of things, because you're going to miss a lot of important things in your family's lives and friends' lives. You're going to miss birthdays, you're going to miss holidays, you're going to miss a lot of important things. So when you get this job, you have to go into it. And another important thing about the flight attendant is on reserve, you get a guarantee every month, which for American Airlines is 75 hours. You get paid 75 hours regardless of if they fly you or you don't. But that's all the money you're going to get. You can also pick up trips on your days off, which is on the electronic trade board, ETB, open time board. You can pick up those trips. That goes above your guarantee. So if you want to make more money, you work your days off. Keep in mind, on reserve, you have legalities that you have to stay in. So for instance, every 7th day, you have to have 24-hour rest period. That's a mandated FAA regulation. So I can't be on call 10 days. I have to have, on the 7th day, I have to have 24 hours rest. Or built into those 7 days, I have to have a 24-hour rest period. I cannot work a straight 7 days. That's an FAA mandated thing. You have to be able to have rest after a trip. So all of these things are in FARs, which are developed by the FAA as rest rules for flight attendants. There's FAA rules, and then there's rules that American Airlines comes up with in your flight attendant contract if you're a union employee, which a lot of flight attendants are a part of a union. Very important that you know your union contract. If you have any additional information, you want to know more about the career, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I just wanted to make a video to all my Facebook friends and YouTube people that would potentially be interested in being a flight attendant. I hope I provided some information for you. Always check the airline's career tabs. That'll give you information on what positions they're hiring for. A lot of times they'll hire flight attendants with language qualifications. So keep in mind that if you don't speak any languages, you want an open flight attendant job opening that does not require language. So really watch out for the career tabs on those sites, because a lot of times they want language qualified flight attendants. And keep in mind, for the first couple years, at least at American Airlines and other airlines, you're going to be on reserve. So seniority is everything in this industry. So once you get seniority, you can have a better schedule. You can hold weekends off. You get better trips. You get international trips. Until you get seniority, though, it's a rough go. So It's an excellent career. You get to fly the world, see totally different places, meet a whole group of new people every trip. I highly recommend this to anybody who wants to travel. Um, I will caution you, however, if you're doing this job, um, it's difficult because you're away a lot. As I said, you're going to miss out on a lot of important things if you're in a relationship. That can get rocky with this reserve life, especially for the first couple years because you're always gone. You don't have to be always gone. You can stay at home a lot of times, but then you're only getting the reserve guarantee of 75 hours, which is hard to live off of. So it's up to you how you want to do it. If you have a living arrangement with other flight attendants, which a lot of flight attendants do, a crash pad, which is a house or an apartment or a condo that you stay with 5 or 6 flight attendants to save on the rent. You're not paying a whole rent by yourself. That allows you to not work all the time, have less of a payment to live in your domicile so that you can non-rev places and take advantage of your benefits. But people who know me know I need my own space. So there you go. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you out. I highly recommend this job again to anybody who wants to travel, who's a people person, who wants to meet some really great people, and who wants to change some lives, because I really think that even for the short little time you have people on your flights, even just from Philadelphia to Orlando, you can make someone's day by just providing great customer service, taking an interest in people, really being empathetic and really trying to provide some really good customer service and trying to build a friendship, even just for the flight, just to really make somebody feel comfortable and at home, and being able to learn something about them. So I hope this was helpful for all of you. If you have any additional questions, as I said, please don't hesitate to contact me. Again, I'm Kyle, American Airlines flight attendant based in Philadelphia, and I wish all of the potential flight attendants good luck in your interviews and at your open calls, and take training seriously once you get hired by the airlines, folks, because if you don't pass training, you got to wait 6 months to reapply to that airline. So really take training seriously. Really think about this job, because a lot of times you take a pay cut for the first couple years. But again, I wish all of you good luck, and I'll be a resource for any of you if you have questions. So take care and have a great weekend. Goodbye.